Hey guys, Expert Layman here, and this is the Grinding Meaning podcast? I don't know. Basically, I'm gonna farm and talk about stuff. But I'm gonna talk about the farming first. Right here is a great location. We are in Tar and Mill. And Tar and Mill has an NPC here. He doesn't have it right now, but he's got this pattern. The Silk Headband. I'm at 165 and it is still orange. And it only takes 3 bolts for a point. These things also vendor for 12 silver, and I think they take 1 or 2 silver in thread. So yeah, it's fairly profitable endpoints. But what's great about this is there's a good location down here. You know what? I should probably make sure my stream is actually working. I'm gonna be obsessive like that. Hey, I just now got the notification for my own stream. 1 or 2 silver in, You know what? I think it's good. Now you're basically just gonna go south. Where we were going is down here. Nathander Stead, whatever. I would actually recommend, if you're a tailor, to spend a couple of levels down there. It's in an open field, you know, trying to find cloth dropping mobs that aren't like you go to the Southern Barrens. It's you can be over level and just get overwhelmed by like a respawn wave because you don't realize, oh, somebody somewhere else on the map just killed a bunch of stuff, and the respawns are going to get spread all over the zone. Oh, and you happen to be the only one in this area with about, 12 respawn points. Good luck with that. So, sorry, I'm getting a little lost here. Not great with the directions. But, also, I believe these spiders have a very small chance of dropping the spider silk. And the snapjaws, those drop the thick clamshells that have a small chance for an iridescent pearl. And the spider silk and the iridescent pearl are what you need to make these. Oh, those are sexy. Yeah, the recipe. Yeah. 2 iridescent pearls. 4 spider silk. There's actually a really good place for spider silk. Where the hell was that? It was in Ashenvale. Yeah, there's a stretch of spiders in this area over here. There's a bunch of them, but they're kind of spread out around level 30 or so, and the drop rate is abysmal. I was getting like 1 an hour, but they had high value drops too. Drops like that vendored well, but didn't fill your bags quickly. And that's the other thing about the location we're going to. It has kind of that same quality where the stuff they drop either stacks or it's high value. Oh, I guess they had to restart the rain. Yeah, these spiders too, but I don't think they have a terribly great drop rate. Sorry, doing like 5 things at once here. I know it's a bitch move, fighting stuff lower than my level, but you know what's an even bigger bitch move? Is to die this, to have to run back from the graveyard because of dying to stuff that shouldn't kill you. But yeah, this place is great. The cool thing about this is there's a quest to go through here. And pick these mushrooms. So as you farm these guys, you're actually doing a public service. in that you're getting the mobs out of the way, so a lot of people have like thanked me. It's funny when people are like competitive. Sorry, maybe I should have got my stuff together before I started this, but yeah, I think I may. Come on, screw it, doing this hard way. Like trying to again do too many things at once. I'll fall into a rhythm, and that's what farming. Oh god, he's gonna die all the way out there. Farming is almost meditative. It's like walking is like you're in a different mental state when you're walking than when you're sitting, and when you're exercising, you're definitely in a different mental state. And I find that there's certain things that it's easier to think about when your body's preoccupied with either physical labor or exercise, but it also seems to extend to grinding. If you're just doing the same thing over and over again, it seems like having a mindless activity actually helps you think. Weird as it sounds. Well, it's like at work. I can listen to whatever I want. And I love listening to podcasts, books, long-form interviews, college lectures, stuff like that. I don't really listen to that stuff at home very often. Something about being a captive audience changes like the threshold for being entertained. Like, I'll find stuff interesting there that I normally never would. Sorry, I apparently moved a bunch of buttons around. And they're not where they're supposed to be. Yes, I know I should have everything mapped to the keyboard, which I will do later. But there's so much change as you're leveling. There's also a couple chests that spawn in here. Don't worry, I'll get to the meaning stuff once I feel like I found a rhythm. God damn it, I have got to move that. What is... Oh yeah. Action bar. So... Toggle action bar lock. How about L? I never opened the quest log that way anyway. Oh. Oh no. Well, it seems kind of boring, but this is a big part of the game. Plus, you see this, man. They don't always drop, but when they do drop, they drop too. Because I should get some soul shards. No, I'm pretty good at soul shards. God, the soul bag is so nice. Just the convenience of having them automatically go in that bag. That's like a quest reward. Warlock quest, I think. Oh yeah, duh. And it's like, you also get to find out like what is mana efficient and what isn't. Like Shadow Bolts, really not very mana efficient, but they're fun. Okay, sometimes they drop one. And maybe look at the mob type. These guys are just annoying because they heal. They also drop weapons, like gray weapons, but stuff that, vendors for many silver. And a couple times I thought people were farming out here, but it really looks like pretty much everybody's just doing quests. No, you don't. My pet got quite a bump at level 30. Well, just a couple more points, and I'll get that instant cast corruption. Oh my god, I got Siphon Life and I haven't been... Well, it's kind of stupid to use Siphon Life. They're not going to live long enough to really make it worth... I will spend Shadow Bolts on these guys, just because they get one heal off. It's just so... Wow. 1% happens. Oh, damn it, I am not paying attention. What I did want to talk about is meaningful suffering. Because, like, I know it sounds like horrible, like, suffering, but, like, it means a lot of different things. I mean, the definition has kind of shifted over the years, like most things. Yeah, I got a bunch of freaking new spells, and it's like, whoa, look at my mana go. We're having trouble trying to figure out why WoW Classic is so popular. And what I gather from a lot of people talking to people that are coming back, well, first, that people are full of crap. Like, yeah, just because, you know, they might have been in the game for like 2 weeks before Burning Crusade came out, but, you know, they're flashing their vanilla cred. Yeah, I'm going to let him get started. Oh, wow. I guess that doesn't work. Well, give me a sexy crit. I haven't seen 300 yet. Oh, come on. Screw you. Oh, wow. I probably should damage that guy before my pet kills him. He got quite a buff. I think he only heals once, though. And Spawn is kind of dated, but it still hits pretty hard. Now, if you're leveling as an undead, warlock, or warrior, or rogue, I guess everything, pretty much everything but a priest, cannibalize is super awesome. It's like, it's like foraging. You know, the bodies of the people you've killed. Actually, you don't have to kill them, you can scavenge that shit. But to try to get back on point, okay, I think the reason that it caught Blizzard so off guard as to the popularity is they captured something they didn't realize they had. An environment that is more real. How do I put this? I want to cut in a clip of Morpheus asking, you know, how you define real. Because if you put in lots of time and lots of, dare I say, suffering into a goal, it adds value to that goal. I don't think this is controversial at all. And just for some reason, we're like, well, it's a video game, so it doesn't count. Well, find out a lot of things, like what you're acting out is what really matters, even if you're acting it out in a game. Motherfucker. Gotcha, bitch. Even if you're acting out in a game, it still acts on your psyche as if, like... Because you'll listen to people talking about their time in WoW Classic, and it seems like they're complaining, like, oh my god, we had to do this, and can you believe we had to do that? And then there was that time that this happened. But if you watch them closely, they got a smile on their face while they're saying it, you know? And it's kind of confusing to people who didn't. And I think that's part of the people coming in the game, because they've had years of people talking about this. And they're like, okay, I need to know what this is about. So it's like, people will say, I can't believe Blizzard took so long to do this. Well, that might have been necessary. Like, you hold something away from people that they really want, and, you know, I'm on this list. They want it more. It's like certain decriminalization going on right now is evidence of this. It's like you just suppress supply, people want it worse. But I guess you could say we're in short supply of meaning, and I don't think too many people would argue that. I guess I should say what I mean by meaning. I mean, we have this idea that, like, the way to be happy is by doing enough things that you enjoy. And if you can fill your life with enough things that you enjoy, you will be happy. And it's bullshit. Anybody who's gone through any kind of depression will tell you, when things go sideways, whether it be just life bending you over, or, you know, a change in your neurochemistry or something along that, when you get depressed, one of the scariest parts of it is the things that made you happy stop working. And now you're scared, because, like, the things that, like, you use to kind of keep yourself afloat aren't working, and you still feel like crap. It's like if aspirin worked for every headache, and then one day you got a migraine and it's not doing anything for you. The way you actually sustain yourself over time is, you know, basically by doing things you don't want to do for a good reason. Unpleasant things, typically. I don't know, it's kind of a moral thing. Like, anybody who does a thing and feels really good about themselves, like they're a really good person for having done that thing, they're probably a piece of crap. However, if you have to make a super tough call and you're really not happy about it, but you sleep well, you probably did the right thing. Like, in adulthood, there's no, like, you know, 100% right and wrong thing. It's, I don't know. I guess I told my daughter, being an adult, the short definition of being an adult is, you know, the ability to choose between the thing you don't like and the thing you hate. Like, enjoy that freedom. But one thing this game did for me is it allowed me to act out following through on long-term goals and seeing the result of that, which is, I was very much a grasshopper mentality. And I'm not going to say WoW did it all, but, like, it opened the door, it got the foot in the door. It was the wedge that it's like, oh, that thing that I detest actually has value, but it's okay. It's just a video game. I can do it in this context. It's not, like, challenging who I am. I mean, when you're in Lich King and you have 10 level 80s and all their professions are maxed and you're like your own personal Walmart, you got to get organized, or all you're doing is spending time looking for stuff. So, organization, long-term goals, hell, budgeting. And that's not even to talk about all the all the social interaction done more anonymously than in real life. And if you're a hyper-agreeable person who, you know, hasn't spent most of his life with, you know, good social skills, it's a place where you can try stuff out without a lot of downside. And the intimacy, and I don't mean like, you know, like sexual or whatever, but just like the kind of intimate conversations you could have in Vent. Like, people are always, like, feeling insecure about things about themselves. And sometimes it's for good reason, and sometimes it's not. And if you're a non-judgmental type, people will test the limits of what they can share with you because they want to know. And if it's 2 a.m. on a Ventrilo server and you're both farming in different parts of the world, like, you almost end up philosophical. Well, maybe that's my influence, but like, you end up talking about a lot of stuff you wouldn't talk about with anybody else. It was a strange kind of thing, and WoW Classic helped me in a bunch of ways, and I think that's another part of why people have this fond memory. Like, things that are part of their normal life now were things that they first acted out in vanilla. There's you have like a spidey sense for meaning. Now it can get corrupted and, you know, not so accurate and things like that, but like, when you're doing something that like seems important and meaningful, it just kind of like sparkles. Like, there's something special about it. And you typically can't articulate why, but you're drawn to it. You'll find excuses to be around it. It's like, and I think WoW Classic is that. It gave us, in the strangest of contexts, it put together this world that didn't give a shit about you. It gave you the bare minimum of what you needed to get someplace in the game and said, figure it out, bitches. Which is pretty much the opposite of game philosophy now. Where it's just like, and it's not like, I don't want to, there's a term called pandering to the fans, and I really don't think it's appropriate here, because it sounds like I'm saying they should have never changed the game, they had the thing perfect. It's like, no. There are things that need to happen for other things to happen. They needed to move on. Like, if I remember right, like, WoW was actually hitting, when Burning Crusade came out, there was actually some competition for WoW. Like, if they didn't make some kind of change, they were going to start hemorrhaging players. So I don't want to say it's like some kind of purist thing. They needed to go through the evolution that they went through, but the things that gave them success in the short term eroded essentially the quality of the player base. I guess you could say they hunterized the rest of the game. And when you make things easier, it seems like a win in the short term. But for the same reason you don't help the elderly or children by doing things for them they can do for themselves, you kind of rob people of their victory by adding convenience. It's weird because it's like a thing that they wanted and a thing that everybody thought was a good idea and may have actually been at the time, but kind of moved away from this accidental, super, I don't know. I guess a game is supposed to be an escape, but it's supposed to be an escape into something, like, you don't want something completely foreign, like, you want something that's kind of familiar, but, like, different? Hard to explain. So all the obstacles, like, okay, let's compare real life with WoW. In real life, you have random inconveniences, like, all the time. Things get in your way. Shit goes sideways. You get treated unfairly. You can do your best and still fail, even though you didn't do anything wrong. These are all elements of WoW, but they're not elements. These are the elements that you try to remove from games because it creates a poor player experience. So, in a weird way, when, that famous guy at Blizzard's like, you think you want it, you don't want it? Well, it's kind of meta because we thought we wanted all the conveniences. We wanted, because part of growing is being a child, turning an adult or whatever, is taking a look around your environment and seeing things that can be done better, and meaning is drawn from figuring those things out. But in a world where everything's already figured out for you, and the only way to like actually find new and better things for the most part, there's no low hanging fruit. And guys in particular like figuring things out. I don't know. I'm wandering off here again. Let's look at let's see my outline. Let's make sure I'm not getting too far off topic. Oh, the biggest thing about biggest distinction in suffering is whether it's voluntary or whether it's imposed. Because if you really don't have a choice and you're forced to do something, it essentially removes all therapeutic value from it, because you need to believe that you chose it in order for you to take the credit. And it does seem like there's a part of you, like an internal bullshit detector, that will know if you're not. So when you come into the game and you know that all this stuff is going to happen. This isn't like a surprise. This is part of the game. Hey, a chest. So in a very real way, you are voluntarily accepting all the suffering that comes along with WoW Classic. So when you overcome those obstacles, when you do that rep grind, when you get that skill up, when oh my god. No, screw you. All Shadow Bolts, bitch. Oh my god, no. How did that happen? Just die already. So it is almost like a terms of service in your brain. You're like, hey, I don't have to be here. So when you undertake it voluntarily, like, okay, a good example is like my daughter. Like, she motivates me in ways that I would never even come close to being able to motivate myself. Like, and that's the other, I was going to get in the social part of this. I guess I'm crossing over early. No, I think that's next. Another big part of the game is all of these obstacles and inconveniences. It's basically baked into the game that you mitigate these or overcome these by working with other people. And I was kind of a solo player for most of it. It took me a while to find a guild that I felt comfortable in and stuff. But I think a good example is, oh wow, I got this awesome piece of gear, but shoot, I want to send it to my enchanter so I can get get it enchanted, and then get it back on this character. And you're like, well, that's 2 hours. But if you have a guildie around, and they happen to be in the city, you'd be like, hey, hold this for me. And you're done in like a minute. And I think the class uniqueness helped a lot. Like it's like an opposite experience for me, because like when you join a group as a warlock, you're like, oh cool, a warlock, that's awesome, which is the opposite of my experience as a hunter. We're like, oh great, a hunter, awesome. And he brought his pet. Cool. This should go well. I do like that some things don't change, like hunters being noobs. Now, it's a weird kind of... A lot of people just weren't meant to make it to 60, to be honest. But through circumstance, whether, being carried by other people or something along those lines, people ended up to 60. But, like, I think the vast, vast, vast majority of people who made it to 60, who should have made it to 60, were hunters. Because it was so easy to level as a hunter. I mean, not only do you get a badass personal tank that you can heal, you can feign death at any time you want. Well, not any time. I mean, there's a 30-second cooldown, there's a chance to resist, but, like, it's so powerful. But it was balanced. Like, yeah, you are an excellent soloing class. But nobody's going to want you in their freaking groups. Ooh, there's a question. Would I have made it to 60 if I didn't have a hunter? Pretty sure I would have. And almost certain it would have taken me a lot longer. Most of those guys' healing is kind of a pain, and if you're a little under level, it could be dangerous, but you can attack from, like, pretty safely from, like, two sides of this and have a runaway path, which is not something that's always available when you're trying to farm humanoids. Even though I'm over level, this is still, like, not bad. Like, when you're waiting on respawns, that's when you're over level. Oh, I'm still getting XP for these guys. And it's not always the best to try to kill them as fast as possible. Like, just finding a rhythm. Because you're going to be here for a while. Oh, you bastard. Yeah, that's a big heal. It heals them for like 70% of their health or something. That's freaking wild. Oh, what else I got here? Oh. Now there's sort of a side point of it's my personal opinion that each individual has kind of like a baseline level of suffering that is nominal for them. And essentially, you get addicted to brain chemistry and how do you put this? Okay, here's an example. I was many years ago screwed over to divorce, yada yada yada, sob story, but I had to be more responsible about a number of things and be diligent, and basically I had to, like, freak myself out in order to get myself motivated enough to take care of the things I needed to take care of. And did it. Got my head above water. And then as things got better, I didn't. Like, I realized that I'd kind of become addicted to that brain chemistry, and now I was sort of seeking out things to be stressed about to maintain what had become normal. It took a serious effort to get, back into a normal way of looking at things. But I think everybody requires a certain amount of suffering based, on whatever they are, kind of like a daily recommended allowance. I think when that gets changed dramatically, it's really hard on people. And you're like, oh yeah, they start, it starts getting a lot worse, and it's terrible. But like, if you on some level require a certain level of suffering, and then you win the lottery, it throws your shit all out of whack. There's a party that like is basically going to try to get you back to where you were, and I guess that's what did Chris Rock call it? Countdown to being broke. It's like there's just people out there that just are so bad with their money. But as far as the suffering, the important thing is, I think, personally, that you can't, I think you can get to a point, meditation, self-observation, cognitive behavioral therapy, whatever, where you can get to a point where the amount of suffering you require to feel like normal is diminished, but I think it's always going to be there. It's just like a human condition thing. But the takeaway, I suppose, is you get to choose the nature of your suffering. And I think it's really helpful to try to shift your suffering over to meaningful or at least productive things. And productive things will have some meaning attached to them. But you're going to say it's a video game. How is that productive? Well, the goal itself is far less important than the value you put on it through your effort to achieve it. Okay, I think I got all that right. That's why somebody gets an insane title, or the insane title. There's also this distinction between, attention and admiration. Like, a lot of people don't seem to understand the difference, and a lot of systems bank on attention. Like YouTube, attention environment. The whole algorithm seems designed to squeeze as much of whatever someone has to offer out of them as possible. And once that's done, just cast them aside. There's another industry that reminds me of this. But when you see somebody who has something that or you don't even have to know, all you need is an inkling of just what they had to go through to get it. It's like instant respect. And this isn't like, hey, somebody, bought something for a crazy amount of money that's super rare and now like they're just bragging about it and stuff. There's no buying of stuff, cosmetic items, or, no gear or cosmetic items. Like, somebody has something, you know the whole story of what it is you have to acquire that. And it attaches an admiration, which is also attention, but it's this, like, jet fuel form of it. Hey, there's another chest. Like, there's an old quote. I'm trying to remember how it goes. It says something like, to the truly deranged, there's no distinction between fame and infamy. It's because all they really care about is attention. That kind of seems to be most of the people on YouTube right now. And I don't want to be fair, a lot of these people wouldn't have been like that. But that's what the system's selecting for right now, so... I mean, it cannot be easy. You know what? Funny, the algorithm. I don't know if you hear that many people talk about it. I do, because it's obviously something I'm interested in. But the language around it sounds very much like talking about a god. Like, oh, the algorithm doesn't like that, or oh, if you do that, the algorithm will notice, or oh, you got to do whatever you can to get a little hook in the algorithm. And it's like, well, I don't know what I did. The algorithm's not helping me now. Like, it used to promote my content, now it doesn't. Like, these seem like religious discussions. Well, I guess when you have like an all-powerful entity that, I should probably start taking this a little more seriously. Stop pulling with no health. Had to be a shaman. You can go for a ride again. Oh, god damn it. Oops. Yeah, that respawn wave thing I was talking about? Oh my god, and there's still one over there by the chest. How does he resist? God damn it. Luckily they only heal once. How are all these resists happening? 1% shouldn't be happening that often. Oh, it's the wand, that's right. Only my affliction spells get that 10% hit. Wow, that was a lame-ass chest. I don't think I've gotten a green out of these chests yet. I suppose we should, like, heal up and stuff. But I already have like a stack of cloth already. Well, I think I got through most of what I was going to do. Where's the freaking timer on this thing? I wanted to go at least a half an hour. Okay, it's not on that screen. That is weird. Oh, is it on OBS? Oh. That's weird. They must have changed something. It's easier to push through his heel. Get a bunch of dots on him. I could have sworn it had something that kept track. Huh. Oh, well, I think I'm going to call it here. I don't really feel like farming anymore. I got through the stuff I wanted to talk about. Mainly because I was having trouble getting motivation actually doing this thing, because this is not something comfortable for me, which is why I'm doing it. I find that no pain, no gain is, like, serious when it comes to self-improvement. Like, you go to the places you least want to go, and that's where you get the most gains. And speaking into the void, hyper-agreeable person, not really my thing, but I'm going to try to make it my thing. So, you all have a good night. Expert Layman.